Welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all for hanging with me on this Monday. So jig fishing, getting the right setup, rod, reel, and line to support your hook set, because the hook set with a jig, when you're fishing it on the bottom, is going to be different than a Texas rig. A Texas rig, a lot of times you're going to have fish peck it, not commit fully to the worm. Maybe they're biting the tail or the appendages on your creature bait. And if you just continuously slow reel it, a lot of times they'll come back and get it, and then you can pull into them. With the jig, they typically get it when they get it. So what you want to do is wind as fast as you can, then set the hook. Now, where the setup comes into that is if, let's say, you're fishing around grass. Here's your rod, here's your line, bait's in the grass, the fish grabs it, and there's a clump of grass right here and pulls to the side where the line is wrapped around the grass, and you set the hook not as hard as you think you can or you should, because you're using 30-pound braid instead of 50, you're not going to get a hook in the fish. The grass is going to absorb the shock of the initial hook set, and that's going to pull the bait out of the fish's mouth. So what you need is 50-pound braid, heavy enough line, and set the hook to where it just cuts through the grass. You'll land a lot more fish that way. Same thing goes for if you're fishing around wood. It could be docks, it could be laydowns. If you're afraid to set the hook hard, then you're going to lose a lot of fish if you have the wrong size hook. So having the correct hook diameter is very important. In grass, it's all about brute force. I want to set the hook as hard as I can, so I'm going with a thick hook that I'll never bend out, reel down as far as I can, and jam them. When it comes to fishing around wood, I'll go down to a smaller diameter hook where I won't have to set the hook as hard. Let's say the line is over some limbs in a tree. I can kind of reel down and pull set into those fish instead of trying to give them the big haymaker hook set. So it all comes down to your hook and your line. Now, if you want to go with a little bit lighter line when you're fishing around wood, you can do that. But again, you just have to give them lighter hook sets and not use such heavy diameter hooks. So with your jig, check the hooks. I've ran into this problem when I first started using this Hack Attack Flippin' Jig. This is a braid jig through and through. If you try to use fluorocarbon, you're going to break fluorocarbon a lot of times, and if you don't get really good wood on the fish, you're going to lose them. So this hook can be used with fluorocarbon, but you better have a super stiff rod and heavy fluorocarbon and really like to set the hook hard. Otherwise, I would advise you to go down to a little bit lighter hook, which most jigs do have a little bit lighter hook. I think this hook was originally made for tuna, so this is a super heavy gauged wire hook. But always a fast reel. Don't be afraid to go too heavy on your line, and then you want something a little bit heavier than your worm rods whenever you're fishing a jig. So it's not the same as a Texas rig. Don't think you can just slowly reel down. When they got a jig, they got it. Reel in fast as you can, jam them, and don't be afraid to go too heavy. Try that, guys. And look, brown jigs, this has been my new favorite thing the last 5 years. Brown is one of those colors, mimics bluegill, mimics crawfish, works in clear water, in dirty water. If you're from Oklahoma, you know how good a brown jig is. And then if you want to give it some other colors that are more natural to your fishery, I got brown and green pumpkin with a little bit of black. But if you're in more tannic water, a little more stained water, go brown and purple. Peanut butter jelly is one of those colors that also works in clear water and dirty water. So brown, this has been my favorite jig skirt color for the last few years. If you don't try this, you should, because this is a great full moon color with all the crawfish that are probably hatching, but also imitates a lot of your other forage in your lake. Try that. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.